What is up, everybody? What is going on? Yeah, it is nighttime. It is 7 p.m. This is The Late Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about 7 p.m. Pacific time. It is 10 p.m. on the East Coast. Today is March 21st, 2019, and I am back in Sacramento, California. I'm back in my home studios after being at GDC for a couple of days. And obviously, we're going to be talking primarily about GDC today. It is pretty much going to be a GDC show. We're going to talk a lot about what I experienced at GDC. We're also going to talk a lot about the entire Oculus situation that is going on here. We're going to try to make sense of what's going on, but doing that is going to be quite difficult. But we're going to try to make sense of what's going on. And in addition to all of this, there's actually a lot of other breaking news that's been happening today that we want to get into as well. And the thing I want to start off with first, the very first thing I want to get into before we get too far along here, I'm going to go ahead and lower the volume on this trailer here. Oh, by the way, Scion VR says, hello, Anthony. Actually, I should pop out my chat so it's in the right spot here. Scion VR says, hello, Anthony. Good video with Sebastian. And I do want to talk about that really quick because you know what? That was incredibly fun. Meeting Sebastian at GDC, talking with him, and then being able to record that video really quick was awesome. And you know what? We had a really good time. I think the reason why I think a lot of people really liked that video and they felt like it was a really good video is because we were just in a, you know, both of us, I think, were in a good mood at that point. And we were talking to, no, Sebastian is tall. Sebastian is very tall. Well, I mean, he's as tall as me. He might be like an inch taller than me, or we're about the same height, or I'm an inch taller than him, or something like that. But it was really fun to meet Sebastian briefly, talk with him, and, you know, we had a great time. And it was kind of weird because when we were filming that video, there were people like walking around, and there were also people that were sitting down that were like 10 feet away from us. And like me and Sebastian, you know, we're talking at this camera. And when you turn a camera on and you start doing a video like that, you kind of go into a different mode. So it's like you go into broadcaster mode, you know. And so like the people that were, there was a couple people that were sitting on the ground kind of watching. I mean, they weren't watching us. They just happened to be sitting on the ground. And because we were doing it right there, they ended up watching us. But they were like kind of smiling and giggling. And it was a weird thing because I haven't really been in front of like a live audience, so to speak. So that was really fun. Really enjoyed that. Honestly, one of the things I'll say about the whole Sebastian thing is I really wish I had more time. I wish I was there another day because me and Sebastian, like, I would have went to dinner with him, you know. We could have talked probably for a couple of hours about a lot of different things, and we were only together there for basically that video, and then maybe like 15 more minutes. That was it. And so it was an interesting little situation, but yeah, I really enjoyed that. Okay, now to get into today's show, the first thing, Prince Alexander says, you are probably a celebrity at GDC. Did people recognize you from your YouTube channel? Not really. I had a couple of people that said hi and said, hey, like the show. I had a couple of people, but it wasn't really not very many. And you know what? The other thing though about GDC is I saw a lot of famous video game celebrities there that are famous because, you know, we know about video games. For example, I saw Chet Falazek. He was going down the escalator as I was going up the escalator. I saw Randy Pitchford. I saw Jeremy from Tested, Jeremy Williams, I believe, right? I saw him. I mean, I didn't talk to any of these people. I saw them. I saw Hugo Berra, the Oculus. I think he's like head of Oculus, right? And a number of other people. Shuhei Yoshida was actually just two people in front of me in line when I was waiting for an Oculus demo. And so you see some famous people there, some like you recognize them, right? But like I didn't go up to them and I didn't bother them. And so there could have been some other people that did see me and like actually was like, oh, I kind of know who that person is, but they didn't decide to, come up and talk to me. But it was all cool. I talked to some guys from Secret Location, the developers of Transpose and the developers of Blasters of the Universe. Had a really good conversation with one of the developers there while we were waiting to try the Oculus S and try the Oculus Quest and some of that stuff. And all of that was wonderful. Really loved it. Okay, now I want to start off today's show. Let me go ahead and switch this video here. And I'll go ahead and let's put on a different video real quick. Let's get back over to the folder that we like to use here. And we'll just go ahead and put, the Rift S video on in the background. And this is a video that I watched a million times because at one of the main Oculus booth areas, there was a gigantic screen, all right? And they were just running this video ad nauseum. So you just saw this video a million times. It was running in the background there. And but basically, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Rift S briefly here. We're not going to get into it in a major way right here. We're going to get into it a little bit later. But the one thing I did want to say about the Rift S regarding the Rift S being a disaster. Okay, so I'm not actually talking about... I'm not saying that the Rift S itself is a disaster. What I was talking about with that headline is, let's see here, I can show you better than I can tell you. So if we go over to the Webby browser right here, one of the things that we're seeing kind of on the Oculus Rift subreddit, and this was happening yesterday, is look at this. Okay, let's check our Oculus after the anticipated Rift S announcement. And, it's basically a shit show. It's a disaster that's going on the Oculus Rift subreddit ever since Tuesday morning at Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. It's pretty much been this way for the last couple of days now. And it's kind of chaos going over there. And it's kind of a disaster. It really is. It's kind of an unmitigated disaster. What I will say about the Rift S, I don't consider it to be a full-fledged disaster. What it is, it's a head scratcher. That's what it is. It's a head scratcher. It's not a disaster. It's a head scratcher. There are two very good things about the Rift S. There are two very good things. Number one, comfort. The comfort is ridiculous. I'm pretty sure, I actually have not read this anywhere. I'm assuming this is the case, but David Jagano of Upload VR, remember it was a couple of weeks ago now where he did that tweet and he said, I just tried the most comfortable PC VR headset that I've ever tried. And there will be, we're going to hear more about it in 2 weeks. Bye. I don't know if he's ever come out and said, yeah, that was the Rift S that I was talking about. I'm assuming that's what he was talking about because it's the most comfortable headset I've ever had on my head. And PlayStation VR, up until this point, was the most comfortable headset that I've ever had on my head. I've always said that when I have the PlayStation VR on my head, it's kind of like a pillow. Oh, Nathy's checking in. What's up, Nathy? Yeah, my first GDC was awesome. I loved it. I made a terrible, horrible mistake, however. I had 2 days to go to GDC, right? I decided to go on Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't know what I was thinking because I should have went Wednesday and Thursday. So I went to GDC on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I had to get back here. And I should have scheduled it for Wednesday and Thursday. I made a terrible mistake. I could have tried so many more demos, but you know what? It's water under the bridge. It was an awesome experience. I got to try the Quest a number of times. I got to try the Rift S several times as well. So absolutely, it was an incredible experience. I loved it. And meeting Sebastian in person, that was really awesome. It was very cool. But going back to the comfort, I just want to say the Rift S really is incredibly comfortable because basically what they have going on there is they've got a foam padding that goes across your forehead, right? Then there's a foam padding that goes across the back, and then there's also the actual face gasket. And all of it, the foam is incredibly comfortable, and it's very, very cushiony. It feels very good. It feels very nice. I really liked it from a pure comfort standpoint. The other beautiful thing about the Rift S, there's basically two things that I really, really love about it. The other thing that I really love about it is the tracking. The tracking is incredible. The tracking is pinpoint accurate. I had the controllers, and I was moving them in all kinds of awkward positions and awkward scenarios, behind my head, behind my back, way back over there, trying to put them in all different kinds of locations to see if I could break the tracking. And the tracking was really solid on the Rift S. So there's two good things about it. There are two good things about it, ladies and gentlemen. So let's not get it too twisted. I don't think it's a complete and utter disaster. It is a head scratcher. It is absolutely a head scratcher. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into our number one story of the day, because something is being buried, and it's a damn shame that this is being buried. And I think it's terrible timing by Phaser Lock Interactive. Yeah, so let's go over here to our webby browser, and Final Assault. Oh my God. Final Assault is available right now. Do you guys realize this? This is available right now, right? We can buy this right now. You can buy it for $20.09. The standard price is $29.99. And the thing about this game, Final Assault, you guys should run out and buy this game right now. This game is quite possibly one of the 3 or 4 best VR games of this year, bar none. This is straight up there with Audica. It's up there with Shadow Legend VR. It's up there with A Fisherman's Tale. And Steve Bishop, I don't want to put words into Steve Bishop's mouth or Gary, Reckoner VR, but Steve and Gary, I think both of them would say that Final Assault is the best VR game they've played this year in 2019. And, they would rank, they liked Audica. I don't think they liked Audica anywhere near as much as I liked Audica. And they liked Shadow Legend VR a hell of a lot. And A Fisherman's Tale. I'm trying to think what other big games came out so far this year, but Final Assault. Phaser Lock Interactive, what are you guys doing? Why did you do this? I don't get it. I don't understand why Phaser Lock Interactive would release their game today when there's so much GDC chaos. There's so much new headset chaos and just a lot of stuff that is going on all the various subreddits. Of course, one of the things that we can think about this is we are the hardest of the hardcore. And so we live on these subreddits. We live on Upload VR. We live on Road to VR. We look at this stuff all day long. We can't get enough of this stuff, and we are hyper interested in all these new headsets. We're hyper interested in all these new announcements and everything that is going on at GDC. We got to remember there's a lot of other VR gamers out there that are just VR gamers, and hopefully they buy Final Assault, because this is one of the best VR games of this year, and nobody's talking about it. Still, no one in chat is talking about Final Assault. This game is so good, guys. This game is ridiculous. You guys got to pick this game up. If you have a HTC Vive or an Oculus Rift and you have any interest in real-time strategy in VR, if you're a fan of Brass Tactics, if you really enjoy Brass Tactics, this is as good as that, and in some ways better. Final Assault is incredible. Can't say enough good things about it. And I had no idea that this was going to come out of the blue like that. So I did want to talk about Final Assault real quick. Okay, so Fluke says he had mixed feelings about Final Assault. I found it decent, but couldn't help feel at the same time that Brass Tactics had nailed RTS control and Final Assault just wasn't at that same level. Well, you know what I will say about Final Assault is it takes longer to learn it. I absolutely think it takes longer to learn how to play this than it does brass tactics. One of the things that you have to think about, I mean, I could talk about Final Assault for a long time. You guys probably don't want me to talk about Final Assault for a long time. There's a lot of other stuff that's going on. But I did want to just highlight Final Assault and say, hey man, this is easily one of the 5 best VR games of 2019. You might want to take a close look at that one. So that one is out there. But let's go ahead and bounce back over here to our standard scene here. And let's just go ahead and dive into the Rift S. Why don't we go ahead and do it? Let's go ahead and dive into it. Let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and put on a little montage of pictures of me playing the Rift S. I'll just go ahead and put that on in the background, and we can talk some Rift S action here. Okay, so the head scratcher, I mean, let's think about the Rift S. So number one, you got comfort and you got tracking, and both of those are awesome. The comfort and the tracking is next level. I'm telling you, this thing felt so very good on my head, and the comfort was basically flawless. The comfort was basically impeccable. You know, absolutely great comfort, great tracking, beautiful in all those ways. Now, where did they go wrong with this headset? We're hearing a lot of weird things coming out of Oculus. Like, they're kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth. For example, when they're talking about why they went with Lenovo, why they hooked up with Lenovo, when you hear the explanations that they're giving about hooking up with Lenovo, it really sounds like the Rift S was almost like a last minute kind of a deal, almost like they scrambled to get some kind of headset out, and they scrambled to hook up this deal with Lenovo to like help them get it out. And I'm trying to figure out what really is going on here. Because when I first heard about the Lenovo thing and I saw the little Lenovo symbol on the side of the helmet there, I was like, okay, I thought the only reason that they had hooked up with Lenovo was 100% for the Halo design. Because see, Lenovo licensed that Halo design from Sony. And so it's very possible that Oculus, rather than trying to contact Sony and saying, hey man, can we license your Halo design? We're kind of competing against you in certain ways, in certain shapes and forms, especially with the Oculus Quest. It's more of a direct competitor there. But maybe Sony wouldn't be too receptive to licensing the Halo design and letting them, borrow that patent. And so it's possible that like Lenovo, when Lenovo got the rights for that patent, maybe they acquired rights to also possibly sell it off to other people. I mean, I don't know how this works. It's really kind of weird how this whole thing works. But like one of the things that Nate Mitchell was saying, and this is from Upload VR, is Nate Mitchell was saying, well, part of the reason we did this is we wanted to lower costs, and Lenovo helped us get it out faster and keep the costs low. But the costs aren't low. The Rift S is actually going to be an increase in cost. It's not a decrease, it's an increase. And so it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. But why don't we do this? Let's go over to our Webby browser real quick here, and let's bounce over to Upload VR, and let's go down to the story where they're talking about Lenovo. And, there's a ton of stories. A lot of things are going on. A lot of this stuff, I'm still actually catching up with it. Because when you're there at GDC and you're doing all this stuff, it's chaos central. I mean, there's so many things that are going on that it's hard to kind of like keep track of everything. I mean, there's a million things happening at once. You're hearing this, you're hearing that. And you go to all these different booths and everything is so loud and chaotic. And then, you're dealing with travel and you're kind of exhausted, and all this other stuff. So anyway, okay, let's see what they're saying here in this particular article. This is Vice President of Product Nate Mitchell. He says, in the case of Rift S, we saw the opportunity to build through this evolutionary version of Rift, and we decided to ourselves, hey, it would be great if we could partner with someone who can speed to market, who can help us take off some of the heavy lifting from our team, and ideally bring some of their own expertise. What the F is going on here? Who has the most expertise in VR of any company on planet Earth? It's Oculus. Oculus has more engineers, more people that know more about VR than any other company combined. I mean, you could probably combine the next 3 or 4 biggest companies and combine all their engineers, and they probably don't add up to what Oculus has at Facebook Reality Labs, yet they're going to go over to Lenovo and partner with them. Something is weird about this. I just don't understand what's going on. I really feel like 10 years from now, when somebody writes a book that kind of breaks down all these little secrets eventually, we're going to find out what really happened here, because I honestly don't know what's going on. I mean, I obviously the Halo was a part of this. The Halo was definitely a part of this, but there's something else. There's something else to this, okay? So he says, so sitting down with them, Lenovo, to design Rift S was actually a lot of fun. And ultimately, they did help in a really big way, bringing this product to market faster and making it more affordable. What are they talking about affordable? Because the price is being raised. See, most of what we're getting here with the Rift S, most of it is downgrades. The only upgrades, we got an upgrade in comfort and we got an upgrade in simplicity. And you know what? We probably shouldn't underestimate this, guys, because for us that are hardcore VR fans, it doesn't really make a lot of sense for us. But if you've never bought a PC VR headset, the idea that you could go buy a PC VR headset and you don't have to worry whatsoever about putting sensors anywhere, about running USB cables, about running USB extensions, about having 2 sensors or 3 sensors or 4 sensors, that's actually a really big deal. This is actually very important, because one of the things that I think has kind of been inhibiting widespread acceptance of VR in certain ways is that on a subconscious or unconscious level, sometimes when people are thinking about buying a PC VR headset, they're like, yeah, but then I got to put these sensors all over the place and I got to string wires and I don't know where I'm going to put all these sensors and I'm going to have wires all over my room and my wife doesn't want that, or my girlfriend doesn't want that, or whatever, or I just don't want to deal with all these wires. I don't have enough USB ports on my PC. I don't want to buy a USB card to throw into my PC. And then, like, when you think about lighthouses and people think about, oh man, I got to screw something into the wall, I actually have to drill holes into my wall, that's all a major turnoff. And so it is kind of beautiful in a way. It really is. It's really nice to just be able to buy a Rift S. You bring it home, you connect it to your computer and you go through the process of setting it up, but you don't have to worry about all that. And that is actually a major, major relief. So it does have these 2 beautiful things, but everything else about it just seems to be a real downer. But let me go ahead. I haven't really been involving you guys in chat. You guys are going crazy in chat. Let me go ahead and see what some people are saying. Okay, so Fluke again says, Anthony, don't know if you've said, but how did you find the IPD? Did you have any issues at all, or was it clear for you? Okay, so my IPD is a little bit on the extreme. Like, my IPD is like 7172. So 7172 is my IPD. So I'm at one end of the extreme, because most of these headsets that are rolling with a fixed IPD, most of them go with an IPD of 65, 64, 66, somewhere right around there, because I think the military, I believe, did a study or something about interpupillary distance of males, and I think the national average for USA is, I believe, 65. And because this is a product that does seem to, like, it's kind of male dominated. I mean, let's be honest, there's probably more male VR gamers than there are female. I mean, that's obvious already, but it's pretty heavy male centric. So they probably, most of these ones, they go with 65 or 64 with their fixed IPD. I'm at 71, 72. So I was very concerned with this. Trying the Rift S, I'll say that I didn't like, nothing jumped out at me like, oh, it doesn't feel right. This is wrong. Something's wrong with it. It wasn't like that. One of the things I did mention, and I talked about this on Sebastian's video, is like, I don't know exactly what the FOV was, and I don't have like a million VR headsets where I can throw a VR headset on and like instantly kind of know, oh, this FOV is smaller, this FOV is a lot bigger. They all seem very similar to me, but it did seem a little bit squeezed in. Now, what I will say to that though is, there's no IPD adjustment, but I do think isn't there an adjustment on it where you can get closer to the screen or farther away? Like there's no IPD adjustment, but I think you could actually get closer to the screen. Like you can move the lenses back and forth a little bit. And in my demos, I was unable to do that. So I wasn't able to check that part of it out. So that's kind of my thought on IPD. Okay, John Crow says, Anthony, did you get a chance to experience Passthrough Plus? I did on the Oculus Quest, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So we'll wait a little bit on Oculus Quest. Oh man, gaming in still life, his IPD is 74, and he sees no difference on any setting. I don't even bother to move it. Like even with like physical IPD, you don't notice any difference. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, and Jan Red says, yes, there is a sliding mechanism on the Rift S. And the thing is, when you're doing these demos, like one of the problems with these demos is you've got like 10 minutes and you've got all these people in line. And to try the Rift S or to try the Oculus Quest, the wait was basically 2.5, somewhere between 2 and 3 hours was the wait to try these things. And so people that are waiting, there's people that are waiting, so they can't give you that long. They're giving you like maybe 8 or 9 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and that's pretty much it. And that kind of sucks because you don't get, you don't really get a lot of time with it. You don't get a lot of time to like look at it and kind of examine it and all this stuff. And so it's a bit hard from that standpoint. But I wanted to try to see if I can get some more comments here. Chat is moving incredibly quickly here. Let me see if I can scroll back a little bit. Let's see. I'm going to try to find somebody that had like a really long comment. Well, Sloth Monkey, let's see what he has to say. He says, Rift S could have stepped up the FOV to 140 or something. They could have sold me on that even with not a big bump in res and even with the LCD. Okay, Great Tantrum says, had Valve released a headset that's 1440 by 1600p with wired or wireless tech with 60 gigahertz wireless foveated rendering eye tracking, it would be game over. Yeah, and Valve, Nostradamus Jr., baby. No, I can't take credit for the Valve thing, but I did say prior to GDC, I didn't think Valve was going to show anything at all. I said if we got anything VR related from Valve, I thought it was going to be like a update to Steam VR or some little minor Steam VR update, and that was about it. And I forget who it was, but somebody kept asking me questions, but I didn't see it during the show, but they were asking questions in chat or maybe in the comments afterwards saying, but why did Valve contact Upload VR and tell them that they're going to be at GDC? Why would they bother doing that if Upload VR is all about VR and Valve has no VR to show? And I didn't get to answer that guy, but basically Valve does their own things. They don't piggyback off other shows. So I knew Valve was not going to be there with their new headset. That's not how Valve does it. So Valve is going to do their own thing as far as that goes. Okay, so what do we want to go to now? Okay, so Rift S. Yeah, I mean, the resolution so the number one reason why the Rift S is not the headset we want it to be, I mean, one of the big reasons is that they wanted to maintain these minimum specifications, okay? And my question, I was talking to Sebastian about this, and I was wondering, let me go ahead and get back over to our standard scene. I'll go back to our standard scene, and you know what I'll do is I'm going to throw on a little video where I'm using the Oculus Rift S. Unfortunately, the lady that did the video filmed me vertical style instead of widescreen. So that kind of sucks. So yeah, here's me I'll go ahead and mute this though. It's just background noise from where I was at trying this out, but she filmed it this style. But basically, the idea of keeping those specifications low is it worth it? Is it really worth it for them to do that? For them to hold on to compatibility with like a 960, a 970? Because we all expected that the bump at the very least, the absolute very least, would be up to HTC Vive Pro and Samsung Odyssey. Like, we thought that was a given. And I can tell you, the day before this whole announcement hit, I was actually thinking 2160 by 2160. And I was talking to some people that were at GDC on Tuesday, and we were talking about this. And some other people were like, yeah, I think it's Rift S is going to be 2160 by 2160 each eye, man. You know, the Hewlett Packard Reverb is 2160 by 2160. Yeah, you know, Oculus is going to do it, right? And I thought, well, at a bare minimum, they're at least going to bring it up to HTC Vive Pro and to Odyssey and Odyssey Plus levels, right? They would at least bring it up to that. And then that morning, I was in my hotel room at 8 a.m. when all of this hit, you know, getting ready to head back over to GDC at that point. And I saw 1440p, and I was like, 1440p? Are you kidding me? What is going on here? And I saw 80 hertz and 1440p. And Nate Mitchell actually addressed this. I think maybe it was on Tested's video, where Nate Mitchell addressed this specifically, and he said that they were very concerned about keeping those minimum specs. Now, when I was talking to Sebastian about this, I was saying, is this the right move? You know, do they need to have such a focus on keeping these minimum specs? And Sebastian was like, well, this isn't for us. The Rift S is not meant for us. The Rift S is meant for new customers. The Rift S is meant for new people, like their first PC VR headset, not their second, third, or fourth PC VR headset. It's meant for newbies. And for newbies, yeah, you do want to keep your specifications low. You want to be down there in the 960, 970, 1070, 1060 and all that, you know, so you have you don't have to have people paying thousands upon thousands of dollars to get a high-end PC to be able to do all this. And I was like, okay, that makes sense to me, but wouldn't you want to keep the costs lower? Like, shouldn't the cost be lower if that's your real goal? If your real focus is on selling to these brand new people, why wouldn't you have the cost lower? And the cost is $399. And I got to tell you that I don't understand the cost. I do not understand it because there's no Snapdragon in there, okay? There's no battery in there. There isn't all this other crap. Now, I know it does have the 5th camera, so it does have one extra camera over Quest. But when we think about like what's packaged in the box, there's no sensors that are in the box. You know, you don't have to have any USB sensors now. It's just the 2 controllers and the headset. That's all it is. Now, I know they had to pay a fee to Lenovo, so maybe they're trying to cover that fee per headset. You know, the licensing fee, they covered that, right? And I'm trying to figure out what the strategy is, because when the original Oculus Rift is completely gone from all retail channels, this replaces that. There's no original Rift. It's all going to be Rift S for however long, right? And it's actually a price increase. We're going from $349.99 to $399. So they're raising the price $50. And you know, going back to Nate Mitchell and going back to the lack of an IPD adjustment and the idea of going with a singular screen. And one of the things they mentioned there, actually, why don't we go to Road to VR? Because that way I can look up the actual comments that they made. Because, hold on, let me find this. Because I know they talked about Oculus. They talked to Oculus about the IPD. Oh, here it is. Oculus explains why Rift S doesn't have mechanical IPD adjustments. So let me go ahead and let me just find the actual quotes from Nate Mitchell, because we want to understand this. Okay, so the actual quote is, experience and cost are the 2 main trade-offs. Basically, when it comes down to it, ultimately, what we decided to do is go with this LCD panel, single LCD panel. Okay, then he says, so you need 2 screens to do the mechanical IPD adjust. So that wasn't enough. You can do some things like we could have had an adjustment for the optics, but what we're going with the digital IPD adjust, where you can actually adjust the IPD in the settings and then we adjust the images on the screen, yada, yada, yada. Okay, yeah, we know about that. But he mentioned something about cost. I know he mentioned, okay, let's see. He says, he also noted that the solution might not be perfect for everyone. We actually have a problem with IPD adjust in that a lot of users don't understand how it works, what it does. So often at times what they'll do is set the wrong IPD anyway. But where does he talk about cost? Because I know at one point he talked about cost. But like they talk about cost as a part of it. Like you're trying to get the cost down, but then they didn't pass the savings on to the actual people that are going to be buying it. So it's weird. Like the Oculus Rift S, I don't believe it's a disaster, but it is a straight up head scratcher. It really is a head scratcher. And we almost, like we need a mole that's on the inside at Oculus that will leak out what the real reason is going on here. Because I don't understand a lot of what's going on here. I don't really I mean, the Lenovo thing, I kind of understand it with the Halo, but it seems like there's more than that, because it seems like the body of the unit is basically a Lenovo body. So they not only went with them for the Halo, but also for the actual physical case, the shell of it, right? And so that again goes back to like, this is kind of like a last minute thing. It's almost like they scrambled to just throw something together. And if we go back to Brendan Arib and his departure, and we heard through the grapevine basically that it was a race to the bottom, and he wasn't interested in a race to the bottom. He didn't like the idea of a race to the bottom. And Brendan Arib bounced. And I could see exactly why he bounced, because they freaking, they were going down the road of probably the Half Dome road. And then they had this other idea of just kind of scrapping together a quick headset in this combo deal with Lenovo, this weird deal. And Brendan Arib probably got word of this and was like, what? We need to get the hell out of here. Like that, he had to get the hell out of here because he wasn't interested in the race to the bottom. Okay, so anyway, that's Rift S. I don't want to waste the entire show on Rift S. Why don't we switch over to some Oculus Quest talk? Because you know what? I got a lot of time with the Oculus Quest. I was very privileged in a way to get so many Oculus Quest demos. In the short time that I was there, I was able to demo the Quest quite a bit. And so what I'll do now is I'm going to go ahead and throw on... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw on Dead and Buried 2. Let's go ahead and throw that footage on and put that in the background. And this is, I think, going to be the Rift S version of Dead and Buried 2. But it is interesting because Dead and Buried 2 is coming to both the Rift S and the Oculus Quest. And it's a cool idea. I like this idea that you're going to be able to play multiplayer games. Imagine this, you could have a Rift in your house, you could have a Quest in your house, and now you can actually basically kind of play local co-op or local multiplayer against one another or whatever. But like I could be playing my Rift right here, and my son could be over there with the Quest, and we could basically be in the same room, and we could be playing multiplayer. So I do like that. Like, that is a really cool thing. Now, I tried several demos of this Dead and Buried 2, and this is the one multiplayer level that they had available in this demo, okay? And I tried it on the Rift S one time. I tried it on the Quest twice. And I also tried Project Scramble on the Quest twice. And I tried Beat Saber on the Quest one time. And so I got quite a bit of a taste of the Oculus Quest. But real quick, I just want to speak to Dead and Buried 2 real quick. Because what I saw of Dead and Buried, because I tried this on both the Rift S and the Quest, I'm not very impressed at all with what I played with Dead and Buried 2. So Oculus Strike Team is the developer. I don't really know exactly who Oculus Strike Team is. Now, there used to be Oculus Studios that kind of worked in conjunction with Gunfire Games to make the original Dead and Buried. I have to imagine that Oculus Strike Team probably contains a lot of the same members that are basically the Oculus Studio group that worked with Gunfire Games. I don't know that Gunfire Games is working with them at all on this. I'd have to assume they're not working with them at all. And, I tried one level. It's a short little sample. I wasn't impressed. Like, this did not impress me in any way, shape, or form. Not on the Go, not on the Quest, and not on... The only thing that impressed me was that you were in a combined experience with somebody on the Rift, and your, combined experience with somebody on the Quest. That's cool. The cross-buy thing, I like that. That's cool. So there's some good things there, but not super impressed with Dead and Buried here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and throw on my little video where I'm playing Beat Saber on the Quest. And luckily, this guy did it widescreen mode. So yeah, this is me. It's going to look kind of goofy because I'm playing I was playing Escape. And what I did, I screwed up, guys. I put it on hard instead of expert. And I should have had it. Wait, what are the different levels? Not on like super, super expert, but like when I play Escape on my regular Rift, I play it on, I believe it's expert. I think I play it on expert. I forget what the different levels are, but I accidentally had this set one difficulty too low, and I screwed up in my demo. I should have put it on the higher difficulty, because then I could have got that real A to B comparison with the Quest. Now, here's what I'll say about the Oculus Quest. A fabulous device. I really do. I really believe this is a fabulous device. There are no wires. Obviously there's no wires, right? We've all known about this forever. I think the controllers feel really good. The tracking was beautifully accurate. I had no problems with tracking. It's very comfortable. It feels very good on your head. The visuals and everything were nice. It's got a higher resolution than what the Rift S has. And I think the Oculus Quest is a hit. But I will say this. I hope, please, for the love of God, Oculus, make the right call. Please, ladies and gentlemen, make the right call. Throw Beat Saber in the box. Take the hit. Take the hit. Pay Beat Games what you need to pay them. Throw it in the box. It's mission critical. I think the Oculus Quest will sell like gangbusters if they throw Beat Saber in the box, because Beat Saber basically flawless. It was basically the same game. The downgrade was so minimal. One of the things that I say when I'm talking about PC VR games that get ported over to PlayStation VR, stuff like Red Matter and Raw Data, and there's been a lot of good ports from PC VR to PlayStation VR, and a lot of times I'll mention that like 85% of the experience made it through, in the translation. 85% of the experience made its way through. Beat Saber, I would probably say like 93% of the experience made it through. Okay, Great Tantrum is saying you didn't mind the 72 hertz. No, I did not notice any problem at all with that. I played the Oculus Quest quite a bit, and one of the games that I actually played more than any others was Project Scramble. It used to be called Project Scramble. Now it is called Sports Scramble. Okay, so the Wii tennis game. I played Sports Scramble, and I got lucky, folks, because what happened on Tuesday, when I was there on Tuesday, I did the Sports Scramble demo. Not here, it was at the other Oculus location, and there was an Oculus employee there that saw that my badge said media, and she was like, "Oh, you're media. Do you want to schedule a private appointment?" And she wouldn't tell me what the appointment was for. And I was hoping it was Robo Recall. I was hoping it was Robo Recall or The Climb or Vader Immortal. I was hoping it would be something like that, right? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I want to do this private demo. And so I set up a demo on Wednesday morning where I went to this room in GDC, but it was like upstairs. It was off the beaten path, and it was like this little Oculus. It was actually a pretty big room, and I went into this room, and there were two Oculus staff people there, And that was it. And it was this huge, gigantic room. No one was there. They had about 6 Oculus Quests that were underneath this table there. And she was like, oh, it's just you by yourself because this is supposed to be a multiplayer demo. And she was like, okay, well, I'll play with you. And so we did Sports Scramble and we played it for a while. And graphically, it's really good. It's really good because the beautiful thing about it is when I was in this private room, it was the first time I was really able to hear the volume, like the sound quality that is built into the Oculus Quest. And so, because on the show floor, there's just so much chaos, there's so much noise down here where I was doing this, just so much noise, so much chaos that it's hard to hear. Because one of the mistakes I think Oculus made is not giving people headphones. Like all their demos didn't have headphones. So it was very hard to hear the games because there was just too much noise. But when I was in this private demo, I was like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and turn the volume all the way up. And they were like, sure, go ahead. And they also made a much bigger tracking area for me to play. So when I was playing this Sports Scramble game, I was able to move, I was able to move over there, move over here, and I'm playing it. And it's basically kind of Wii Tennis. It's pretty much Wii Tennis, but there's a lot of little interesting things that they do. Like they change the balls and they change the rackets. The rackets start off like a regular racket. Then you get like a super tennis racket. Then it turns into a baseball bat, turns into all of these other things. And the balls change. The balls turn into footballs and wiffle balls, and they turn into like soccer balls and like a fish. And there's this weird, it's almost like a boomerang thing that like goes, and you hit it and it goes like that, and it curves all around. It kind of slices crazy. And I was playing with this other lady that was in there, and she was standing like 15 feet away, and we were playing each other, and it worked out great. I think the Oculus Quest is a certified hit. I really do. But I think they can guarantee it. They can guarantee it as a hit if they put Beat Saber in the box. Are they going to put Beat Saber in the box? I seriously doubt it. Okay, Intergalactic 9000 says FOV quality. I guess you're talking about the Quest. What was the FOV like on the Quest? I thought, honestly, compared to the Rift S, I thought the FOV might have been a little bit bigger, but it could have been, how close my eyes were to the actual screens or something. Yeah, there was a wiffle ball. There was a wiffle ball that you had to hit. There was a golf ball, and your tennis racket at one point turns into a golf club. At one point it turns into like a giraffe something. It's really kind of crazy. But yeah, the Oculus Quest, I was impressed with that. Beat Saber was flawless. The one thing I will say though about Sports Scramble, if all they put in the box is Sports Scramble, that's a mistake. It's not. I don't think it's enough. It's better than I thought it was, because the first day that I played Sports Scramble, I was like, oh man, this is not looking too good. This is not Wii Sports, because Wii Sports had golf and it also had baseball. And it had the tennis. Wii Sports had 3 different components, right? And this is tennis only. As far as I know, there's nothing else. When I first heard they changed the name from tennis, first it was Project Scramble, then it was Tennis Scramble, and now it's called Sports Scramble, right? And when I first heard the name was Sports Scramble, I was like, oh, cool. They're going to have a little golf mode. They're going to have a little baseball mode. They're going to have some other sports besides tennis. And they're doing what we thought that somebody in VR should have done from the very beginning. Where the hell is Wii Sports? Where is Wii Sports on any VR platform? How is there not a Wii Sports on any VR platform? It makes no freaking sense whatsoever. I know we got VR Sports Challenge from Sanzaro Games, and it's a great game, but it is not Wii Sports. And so I was hoping that Sports Scramble was going to be that. But then I came to realize, no, they're calling it Sports Scramble because of all the different balls and how your tennis racket turns into all kinds of different things. And it's fun and it's colorful and the sound is very good and it all works great. Visuals are great. Dude, the Quest is legit. Like thumbs up for the Quest. I ain't got nothing bad to say about the Quest. Throw Beat Saber in the box and they will kill it. They will absolutely kill it. Okay, let me check a couple of these people in chat, what they're saying. Okay, Onakazi says, I bet the difference in FOV for the S and the Quest for you is the adjustable IPD. You said in the MRTV vid your IPD is 71, which is the upper range, so you're getting more tunnel vision. That's possible. It's very possible. And another possibility is that, the in and out part of the thing, because if you get it closer to your face, one of the things I did with the original Vive, and if anybody has a Vive, you really want to do this. If you have a Vive, take off the retail face gasket, right? And just put it on your head with no freaking gasket, because it's all of a sudden you now have a 120 degree field of view. It's amazing. And what I did on the original Vive is I made the thinnest possible foam face gasket I could ever make. It was like 2.5 millimeters, maybe 3 millimeters of foam. Wasn't very comfortable at all, but god damn, I got my head up in there. And so maybe if I was able to do that with the Rift S, it wouldn't have seemed so kind of squeezed in for me a little bit. IPD could be a part of it. No question. John Crow says Wii Sports equals Rec Room. I mean, I see your point. I understand your point there, but the problem with Rec Room is when you turn Rec Room on, like from the time that you start up Rec Room to actually getting into one of those little games that are in Rec Room, it kind of takes a while. And one of my hopes with what is awesome about the Quest? Let me tell you guys what's really awesome about the Quest. Okay, the very first time I played the Quest, they put it on my head, right? And it was in the AR mode, the pass-through mode, right? And it was like black and white, and it looked so freaking cool. I was like, oh shit, what is this? This looks sweet. I really love the AR mode. I mean, it's not an AR mode, but like the setup mode where you're setting the height of the floor and you're setting your guardian boundaries and stuff. That looked really cool. I kind of wish they just had a demo for that. And I also saw the Quest home menu where you're kind of in the home and it shows your games and stuff. I saw that and that was cool as well. So I'm a big fan, and the colors are good. It has good blacks. Screen door is still there, and especially in Sports Scramble and also Dead and Buried. I think the screen door a lot more visible. Beat Saber not so much. Screen door is definitely there. It has been announced by Upload VR that there's bowling. Okay, well, awesome. Now Sports Scramble has just improved dramatically if that's the case. Yeah. See, one thing I have to admit, guys, is I had to work 8 hours today, right? And yesterday I was traveling from San Francisco back here, and there was crazy traffic, and it took like 4 hours to get back. And so you guys know more about what's going on probably than me. I mean, I got some demos and stuff. I got some firsthand impressions of things, but like all these little details, you guys probably know a lot more than me. So yeah, that's cool. I still am slightly concerned about Sports Scramble because what I'm worried is that's what they're throwing in the box. I'm really worried that that's the only thing they're throwing in the box. Part of me thinks that it's going to be Sports Scramble and Dead and Buried 2. That both of those packages are going to be in the box, that are going to be packaged with the Quest. But dude, Oculus, Hugo Berra is his name, right? I think. Is it Hugo Berra? He was there, man. I was standing not like in this little area where we were. Hugo Berra was standing like 7 feet away from me, and I should have said, bro, Beat Saber, put it in the box. Do whatever you have to do. This is the most important VR launch since this thing has come back. Since VR has come back, there is no more important launch than the Oculus Quest. This is our savior. That's why I put it in the title. Is the Oculus Quest our savior? And it's gotta be, man, because the Oculus Quest can change rising tides lifts all boats. The Oculus, even if you don't give a damn about the Oculus Quest, and I know there's lots of you out there that have no interest whatsoever in the Oculus Quest, but a rising tide, it lifts all boats. And if the Quest is a runaway hit, we might be playing Grand Theft Auto VR in a couple of years if the Quest is a runaway hit. If the Quest is kind of a tepid hit, we might not be playing Grand Theft Auto VR for another 5 years. So, like, that's how important the Oculus Quest is. And please, for the love of God, oh, there's Hugo. I think that's Hugo Barra right back there. But anyway, please, for the love of God, put Beat Saber in the box. That's all I got to say about that. Okay, let's see. What else did I want to get to here? We're about 1 hour in almost. I know actually, why don't we check out some of the subreddits? Let's check out some of the subreddits, and I'll just kind of comment on the fly on some of the stuff that's going on. Okay, so let's go back over here to our Webby browser here. I'm sorry that I'm discombobulated. I'm kind of bouncing all over the damn place with a million different things. And that's just kind of the way it is because I'm thinking of so many things. Like I'll remember this, I remember that. And then it's like, da-da-da-da. Okay, so let's see what's going on. Now, this is really weird. I don't get this at all. Nate Mitchell said they will support existing sensors with Rift S if there is a demand for it. How? So, because my prediction on the Rift S, incidentally, is March 28th is the 3-year anniversary of the Oculus Rift. Well, doesn't it make all the sense? It's also the first day of PAX East. And where's Nathy? Where's Nathy in chat? Because I know a lot of YouTubers, a lot of VR YouTubers, for some reason, are going to PAX East. And they seem to be very locked in to going to PAX East. I'm pretty sure Cass and Cherry are going to PAX East. Nathy, Mike from Virtual Reality Oasis. I think a lot of people, right, are going to PAX East. A lot of VR YouTubers. And I think Oculus has something to do with this, guys. And March 28th is the 3-year anniversary, right? So Rift S, in my opinion, you release the Rift S on March 28th. It's available now. Go buy it. Rift S is available now. And April 30th, the first day of F8, that is the Oculus Quest. And I think there's enough of a spread. It's a month later. There's enough of a spread where it's kind of going to two different markets. I think that works. All right. But then we get this about, oh yeah, we could possibly support external sensors if everybody's into it. Now, does he mean like on a future revision of this thing? Because I don't know how you throw that in at the last minute. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll down here and see what some of the other little topics are here. Rift S is the first VR headset to combine a Halo pad with a top strap, which is why it's so comfortable. Yeah, I mean, the reason why it's so comfortable is because of the foam. Dude, they've got some next-gen foam technology because I've tried foam, and this foam is a lot better than other foams I've tried. Really good foam. Like, I love the foam that is on there. Okay, John Carmack says Rift S is lower persistence than Rift and Quest. Oh, the one thing I will say about the Rift S, let's go back to the Rift S for a second. And what I can do with the Rift S, so it still has, it has Constellation support built in already. Does it really? It has it in the Rift S, it's in there, but it's just not going to be used unless they need it. I don't know. That if that's the case, that's very interesting. A lot of this is breaking news. We're hearing different things. One guy says this, another guy says that. For example, Sebastian was saying that he heard Stormland is going to be out the day the Rift S is going to be out. And I have a hard time believing that because I think Stormland is like a fourth quarter or, maybe third quarter 2019 game. I don't see Stormland coming out this spring. Maybe Defector should be coming out this spring, but not Stormland. But let's go ahead and let's go back over here to our standard scene. And I'm going to throw on the vid, the old vid of Stormland, because I want to talk about that for a second. And then also, I did play Stormland on the Rift S. And the thing is, when Stormland first starts off, it's kind of dark and it's like overcast and it isn't very bright when you first start off in Stormland, and you're looking at your robot arms and your robot hands, and oh my goodness, this is our number one ranked game on VR game rankings, the number one most wanted PC VR game. And you know what, guys? I'm happy to report that it lives up to that. This is the game, baby. I wanted to play this so much longer than I was able to play it. I was only able to play it 10 minutes. Okay, so when you first start out, see how it's like overcast, it's raining, your robot is dilapidated, you got all this moss and like stuff that's growing all over you, right? And it's kind of dark, and you see it's overcast there. You might be able to see there's clouds and stuff. It's all kind of dark. And that's not very impressive on the Rift S, I got to admit. And me and Sebastian were talking about this, where horror games, we're both a little bit worried about, the blacks and that type of thing. But then you get a little farther into Stormland, and at a certain point, you get to where it's sunny everywhere, and you're in the bright sun. And the Rift S did look good there because, everybody was talking about, oh yeah, the elimination of God rays. I didn't notice anything special when I was playing Dead and Buried. I got to this area right here, just the very, very, very beginning of this area, and it's sunny and bright, and it looked a lot better. And I was like, yeah, people are going to be happy with this headset. People that don't have another headset, they don't have a Samsung Odyssey Plus or whatever, and it's their first PC VR headset. They're going to be happy with the Rift S. It's okay. It's not horrible. It's not a complete and utter disaster. Is it a situation where you want to sell your Rift right now and buy this? I don't think so. Unless you have two sensors and you don't have a USB Initech card yet, and you're thinking about buying a third sensor and all of that. If that's kind of an issue for you, then maybe you could. And if you really want the better comfort, it is more comfortable. Also, if your IPD is like 64 or 65, it'll be nice if we find out what the native IPD is, actually. That would be nice. Okay. Anakazi says, was there any mention of Defector? No, not while I was there. There was no mention of Defector. I was hoping there might be a Defector demo. You know what sucks about me leaving, not being there Wednesday and Thursday? It would have been so much better if I was there Wednesday and Thursday, but oh well, water under the bridge, right? Because I could have tried a demo of Vacation Simulator. I could have tried a demo of Asgard's Wrath. I could have tried a demo of Trover Saves the Universe. I did try a demo of Ghost Giant for PlayStation VR, and I liked it. I liked Ghost Giant. I also tried a demo for eSpire 1, which was pretty decent. I talked to the Tripwire Interactive guys. They were there. I was talking to them about Killing Floor Incursion, how it went to the Vive, and like the Vive community wasn't really down with them, because it was freaking exclusive for so long on Oculus, and they kind of like didn't want to buy it. And I was talking to them about porting it to PlayStation VR and all of that. But eSpire 1, probably looking like September maybe. October, like kind of third quarter-ish for eSpire 1. That looked pretty good. I kind of like that. But I was trying to think of what other demos I could... Like, there were other demos, man, I could have tried, and I just ran out of time. I could have tried Magic Leap. So they had a Dr. Gordbort's demo. It was in the Unity area. And then also, like, Reverb is there, and I had no idea that it was there. Like, me and Sebastian didn't know, and then everybody found out later. So Ray Delatorre says, so Anthony, what new headset are you planning to get? Valve, baby. No, I'm kind of... See, the thing is, we can talk Reverb for a quick second. Reverb, I can't get hyped about Reverb because Reverb's got a number of problems as well. Number one, if Reverb had the tracking of the Rift S or the Oculus Quest, hell yeah, I'd be all over Reverb. But Reverb has the tracking Windows Mixed Reality version 1.0. Craptacular. Not craptacular, but not very good, right? Subpar, slightly subpar tracking. It has the original Windows Mixed Reality controllers, which are pretty god-awful. okay, then it also has a fixed IPD, right? I'm pretty sure Reverb has a fixed IPD. And it's also LCD, right? Is it also LCD? And so, like, it's hard for me to get hyped on Reverb. What I was telling Sebastian with Reverb is I would love to have one of those things for a seated game, or for something like the Great Sea, or for Invisible Hours, or something where it's kind of like a video thing and you don't really care about the controllers you got. I think Reverb would be awesome for that. But would I want to use it with like Audica and stuff? Hell no. So, $599. See, John Crow says Reverb is a non-starter. Windows mixed reality controllers, the first one, 2-camera inside-out tracking. Yeah, it's kind of crappy, but 2160 by 2160 is straight legit. Like, that is beautiful. Like, wouldn't you want to try that? That sounds awesome. I'd love to try that. Okay, let's try to look at some comments that are in chat here. I got to get out of here pretty soon. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's episode, it's Friday night. I'm going to do it at 8 p.m. tomorrow. So I'm going to be doing this at 8 p.m. tomorrow. And then Saturday and Sunday, we're back to our normal time, guys. So Saturday is 12 noon. And then Sunday, this show will be following VR Roundtable. And I'm excited to do VR Roundtable with all of this news and Gary and Steve and Chris and everybody. Man, we might have to do like a 2.5 hour VR Roundtable this Sunday. I mean, we might have to start like a half an hour early. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to Sunday. And so our show, VR 365, will be starting about 15 minutes after the conclusion of VR Roundtable on Sunday. So our show's going to go back to the normal time on Saturday and Sunday. And then I have other good news. Next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, this show is going to be 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Pacific time. So that's good news. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Monday and Tuesday, I'm still, we might be 7 p.m. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. I still got to figure out Monday and Wednesday. So I'm still planning on doing this show every single day, even though I'm working, at a real job now. So I'm still going to try to bang this show out. But let's go ahead and see what some people are talking about here in chat. Andy Sky says Stormland will be last Oculus big title game because they only going to focus with Quest because they don't have competitor like Steam Library. Well, we did hear that story today. Like if we go back over to our Webby browser, or I don't know if it was today, it might have been yesterday, but one of the stories that's on Upload VR was that Oculus, well, we had this story as well. The Quest is going to have a 128 gig version and a 64 gig version. Yeah, early adopter tax is in full and total effect, baby. So is the 64 gig version going to be the Tard pack? And the 128 gigabyte version is for the smarter people? Because I screwed up. I got the small Oculus Go, and I've regretted it from the very beginning. So I don't know what I'm going to do here. I don't know if I'm going to do 128 gigs if they juice an extra $50 out of me. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But one of the stories that they did have on here, where is it? Is one of their stories is that they're basically going to developers and they're saying that they want them to make see right here. Okay, Oculus is now asking studio developers to build for Quest and Rift. So they're going to try to get a lot of developers to work on both and to kind of, you got the same controllers. It's got basically the same tracking. So you got the Snapdragon, which makes it a lot harder. But, like I was saying, I was talking to a guy from Secret Location, the developer of Transpose and the developer of Blasters of the Universe. Can't remember his name. I got to go check out their website and see if they got some pictures of the people there because I'll remember who it was. Really cool guy. Love talking to the guy. We had a great conversation while we were waiting to try these Oculus demos out. And I was talking to him about this exact thing, like porting to the Quest and like what kind of sacrifices you had to make. And he was talking about shaders and all the different things. And so there's going to be some good stuff. Like I wouldn't like the Quest is going to be better than you guys think it is. I really think so. I think developers are going to do some very smart things. Now, where we have to worry about with the Oculus Quest is the crappy developers. That's where we might have to worry. Like, your crappy Steam developers that are just throwing shit at the wall. If they start throwing shit at the wall in the Quest, it's going to look bad. It's not going to be good. It's going to be a bad scene right there. But I think high quality developers are going to figure this thing out. Okay, here's one of their quotes. If it's a studio's title, meaning Oculus Studios, I guess, we're asking all developers to build for Quest and Rift. Now, there could be some delays based on developers saying, hey, we've tuned and optimized for Quest. We want to do more stuff for Rift, so we're going to delay that release a little bit out. And there will be probably 1 or 2 titles that on launch day of Quest won't be immediately on the Rift store, but those will be the exceptions and not the norm. So Oculus is making Rift exclusives like Asgard's Wrath, Lone Echo 2, and Respawn's Untitled Shooter. These are expected to be appearing on Rift only. Those titles are likely too processor intensive. But the bottom line is there's going to be a lot of games on Quest and Rift. They're asking people to build on both of them. I think it's a good idea. I think it's going to work out nicely. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But let's see. Let's go to Road to VR. Let's refresh this. So this is news, and I could have, see, if I was there another day, I could have tried Trover Saves the Universe, because I went into Sony. Okay, it's a little bit worrying, guys. It's a little bit worrying that Sony only had 2 PSVR demos in their entire booth. They had Trover Saves the Universe, and they had Ghost Giant. That was it. Okay, Jupiter and Mars was there, but it was Pancake. They didn't have the PSVR version. And so when I walked over to where they were doing the demos for Trover Saves the Universe and Ghost Giant, and the lady basically was like, oh, we got all these appointments, but you can wait around, and if somebody doesn't show up, you can get the next appointment. So I waited around, and I was able to jump into Ghost. I wanted to try Ghost Giant because it was Move controllers, and I was like, Trover, I kind of know what Trover is. It's kind of like an action platformer that's going to be cool and everything. But, I wasn't that hyped. I mean, I wanted to try Trover, don't get me wrong, but I had to meet Sebastian. I was running out of time, stuff like that. But the good news is it's not going to be a PSVR exclusive, so we're going to get this on PCVR platforms soon enough. So that is good news. I'm excited for that. Trover's going to be cool. I would have liked to have tried it, but oh well. Shadow Point, yeah, that was announced, so that's coming to Quest. Yeah, see, there's a lot of stuff that's going on that I haven't even had a chance to check a lot of this stuff out because it's been Chaos City, man. Okay, so let's see what people are talking about in chat real quick. For anybody wondering, AndroidCentral.com is the source which said Stormlands is confirmed for the Quest. Not sure why they said this, just wanted to point out this to you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of bad information that was going on at some of these demo areas because you would have all these people walking around. I talked about this on Sebastian's show yesterday, walking around wearing Oculus shirts, right? And so you kind of thought, oh, you really work for Oculus. You're wearing an Oculus shirt. You're giving people demos. You probably work for Oculus, right? No, these people didn't really work for Oculus. They worked for another company. They were outsourced and hired by Oculus. They were trained to give demos. They knew enough about this and about that. But like one guy was like, hey, so how long does the battery last in the Oculus Quest? And the guy was like, well, we're not really saying too much about that, but basically 4 to 6 hours. And I was like, 4 to 6 hours? No way. There's no way in hell the Oculus Quest is lasting 4 to 6 hours. I've always heard it's 2.5 to 3 hours. So there would be information like this that you would hear. So it's kind of like, when you go to GameStop and the guy's like, yeah, man, PlayStation 5, it's already been confirmed. And, this game, Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to launch. You hear all these stories at different places. It was kind of like that at some of these demo booths. You got to be careful with that stuff. The other crazy thing that I did notice about the entire GDC, like just going back to generalized GDC talk, is you basically had these gigantic ass companies that were all trying to swing it around, if you know what I'm talking about, okay? They were swinging it around because you had Google with Stadia. And I could have went to the Stadia keynote, because when they were lining up for the Stadia keynote, like I could have got a good seat and everything. But I was like, why? Why am I going to go to the Stadia keynote? I don't give a damn about Stadia. They're not doing any VR anytime in the near future. And I have no interest in flat games. I have no interest in flat games, and I have no interest in the cloud. I really don't. I don't believe this cloud shit. Prove it to me. Prove it to me with the cloud shit. I don't believe it. Okay, but Amazon was there, and Amazon had a gigantic ass booth with Twitch and Twitch and Twitch and Twitch. And then Google was there with their big ass booth. And then you had Unity had a gigantic ass booth. Unreal, gigantic ass booth. Microsoft, pretty big booth. Sony, pretty big booth. But it was like they were all going to war. They're all going to war over this VR future. It was just interesting to see all of that and see how all of that was working out. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to see what anybody else is saying here in chat. I got to get out of here pretty soon, but let's see if I can get any more comments in chat. So Great Tantrum says, will racing games work on the Quest? Can a Will peripheral be hooked up to it? That's a good question. See, the thing is, when you go to a console-like system, which is what the Quest is, you're getting into a different territory here, because we don't know if Oculus is going to allow third parties to make accessories for the Quest that are like tracked accessories and stuff, because wouldn't you like a nice aim style controller for the Quest? I sure as hell would. That would have been a really cool thing, by the way, if Oculus was like, hey, check out this peripheral we have for the Quest. We call it the aim targeter. I don't know what they're going to call it, because Sony freaking scooped it, man. They call it the PlayStation aim controller. How perfect is that? Because it's not a gun. It's not a blaster. It's the aim controller. You're just aiming, but it's not a murder simulator device. No, it's not that. It's the aim. And see, Sony already has, they have that name locked down. So like, what is Oculus going to call their gun controller? I really would like them to make one, though. And yeah, steering wheels, that's a major question. Are they going to allow any of these third-party companies to make tracked items or even non-tracked items that work with the Quest? I think eventually they will, but it kind of goes back to, is the Quest going to be a runaway hit? Is it going to be a tepid hit? If they put Beat Saber in the box, they are smart. If they don't put Beat Saber in the box, they're greedy and they're thinking about just juicing early adopters. I guess they could potentially start off with a box that has Sports Scramble and Dead and Buried 2, and it's $3.99, and then maybe have a new box that hits November that has Beat Saber. So Oculus can redeem themselves. They can still come out with a box this spring that is Sports Scramble and Dead and Buried 2, but they better put Beat Saber in that box by November. And if they put Beat Saber in the box from the very beginning, that's even better. Because think about it. On stage, you know what? April 30th, F8, right? You have freaking Zuckerberg come out on stage, and he's talking about, the Oculus Quest, it's available today, and I'd like to introduce you to Beat Games. And, they have the two Beat Games guys come out, and they're like, yeah, we're so happy to put it on the Oculus. And guess what? It's in the box. Beat Saber is in the box. That would be so awesome, and it would really make that thing fly off the shelves. It would create a sensation, and that's what we need, guys. Please, Oculus, please do it. Do it for the love of the game, baby. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and call it. It has been a while. We're a little bit, we're way past an hour now. I'm going to go ahead and go back over here to my standard scene. Now, I got to imagine there's some great comments that were in chat. I'm sorry for not looking at everybody's chat comments. I really appreciate everybody showing up. This is super awesome. We might have some completely new people as well that discovered me maybe for the first time from MRTV. So that's cool. Some new people showing up. And hey, if you're not subscribed to VR365, why not do it? Because you know what? I'm not that bad. I'm not that terrible. I do cuss sometimes, and every once in a while I go on straight rampages, but it's very rare. It's very rare. And I try to do, VR365, that's what it's all about. It's VR gaming, VR news and discussion 365 days a year. VR 3336666655555. So, that's the whole thing. Stormland, incredible. It is my most wanted VR game, and I'm so happy that it worked out so great. And man, the inverse kinematics, really, really good on that. Very, very impressive. I like what I saw with Stormland. I'd love to play so much more of that. All right, guys. Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for today's show. And, just a reminder, Airman 99565, you have your moments. Yeah, I do. I sometimes go psycho. There's no question about that. But what I wanted to say, tomorrow's show is going to be 8 p.m. because it's a Friday night party, bruh. It's a Friday night party, bruh. So tomorrow's show is 8 p.m. Saturday, 12 noon. All these times are Pacific, California time, okay? Saturday, 12 noon. All right. We're kind of like after the F Reality podcast, right? And then on Sunday, we're after VR Roundtable, about 15 minutes after that. But make sure to tune in to VR Roundtable. It's going to be a humdinger. I cannot wait for VR Roundtable on Sunday. That is going to be awesome. But I need to bounce out of here. I'll see everybody later. Have a wonderful day, guys. And, let's calm down. Let's calm down. This is all going to blow over. What do they say? What's the phrase that everybody says? This too shall pass. Yeah, that's the phrase. This too shall pass. Let's put our pitchforks down for a little bit. Let's put our flaming torches down for a little bit. Let's calm down a little bit. Cooler heads will prevail. You know what I'm saying? Cooler heads will prevail. And we're going to get our headset. Don't worry about it, guys. We are going to get a dream headset. It's coming soon. I can feel it. Maybe it's one of these. Maybe it's the Vive Cosmos. Maybe we don't even know it. Hell, maybe HTC Vive is going to shock the world. Maybe they're going to have the headset that we've been dreaming about. Kind of doubt it, but you never know. Yeah, I was the only roundtable guy to go to GDC. Oh, man, it would have been so... Could you imagine if Gary, Steve, and Chris were all there and we could do a live roundtable from the show floor and all of that? That would have been super awesome. That would have been cool. Maybe next year. Who knows? Maybe next year. I plan on going to GDC as much as possible because I can just drive there. It's not that bad, right? All right, guys. Well, I'll see you tomorrow around 8 p.m. Pacific time. Or if you want to skip that one, maybe join me on Saturday at 12 noon Pacific. And I'll see everybody then. So you guys have a wonderful evening, early morning, wherever the hell you are. Good morning, Vietnam. Yeah, probably morning in Vietnam or somewhere. But anyways, we'll see you guys. Have a good one. Take it easy. Later.